Listen to me. Everybody want to be a leader until it's time to make a hard decision. Everybody want to wear the crown until it starts to weigh down on their soul. Everybody want to be on top, but real leaders don't chase the top. They build it. They bleed for it. They serve for it. So the question ain't, do you want to lead? The question is, are you built for this? Most people run when it gets hard. Most people look at pressure and pain and say, not me. But real leaders run toward the fire. They don't wait for someone else to fix it. They don't sit back hoping somebody steps up. They are the one who steps up. Because leadership isn't about what's comfortable. It's about what's necessary. See, in life, fire represents pressure, adversity, conflict, crisis. When everything is going wrong, when the building is burning, when the plan is collapsing, when the team is doubting, that's the moment that separates the talkers from the walkers. The moment when you can't fake it. You either freeze or you move. And leaders move. Running toward the fire doesn't mean you have all the answers. It means you've got the heart to face the thing everyone else is running from. It means you've made a decision not to be perfect, but to be present. Not to be fearless, but to be faithful. Let me be real with you. There are no comfortable leadership positions. None. If it's comfortable, you're not leading. You're hiding. Leadership demands it demands tough conversations. It demands sleepless nights. It demands putting out fires that you didn't start. But that's what you signed up for. And if you didn't know that, then now you do. Some people think being a leader is about being the boss, making the rules, calling the shots. But I need you to understand, leadership is sacrifice. It's pain. It's pressure. And if you can't walk into a fire for your people, you're not leading them. You're watching them burn. I've seen too many folks with titles but no courage. Too many people in charge who disappear the moment things get real. You know what that does to a team? It destroys trust. It teaches people that when things go wrong, they're on their own. That's not leadership, that's abandonment. Now let me flip it. When a real leader steps into the fire, when they show up when it hurts, when they stand tall in the smoke, something changes. The team lifts its head. People stop panicking. Why? Because they see strength. They see hope. And more importantly, they see someone willing to burn for the mission. That kind of leadership, it multiplies. It inspires others to follow. Not because they have to, but because they want to. Because they know the leader would never send them somewhere they wouldn't go themselves. That kind of leadership creates loyalty. It creates movement. It creates legacy. But let me tell you something, it's not easy. Running toward the fire means you're going to get burned. It means you'll feel heat that no one else sees. You'll carry weight that no one claps for. You'll be misunderstood, criticized, underestimated. But that's the cost of real leadership. And the reward is not the spotlight. It's not the applause. It's knowing that when chaos came, you stood your ground. Some of you right now are facing a fire. Maybe it's in your business. Maybe it's in your family. Maybe it's in your own mind. And you're thinking about quitting. You're thinking about turning around. But I came to tell you, the fire doesn't mean you're off track. It means you're in the arena. It means you're doing something that matters. And the only way out is through. So run toward it. Step into it. Walk through it with your head high and your heart open. Because on the other side of that fire is your next level. On the other side is growth. On the other side is leadership that actually changes lives. The fire will test you, but it will also transform you. And when people ask later, how did you become the leader you are today? You'll be able to look them in the eye and say, because when the fire came, I didn't run, I led. If you're in it for control, step aside. If you're chasing titles, applause, or the feeling of being the boss, step aside. Because real leadership has nothing to do with power and everything to do with purpose. Let me say that again just so it sinks in. Leadership is not about being in charge. It's about taking responsibility. It's not about being important. It's about being intentional. See, power is about position. It's about the corner office, the nameplate, the followers. But purpose is deeper. It's quieter. Purpose doesn't need a spotlight. It doesn't need validation. It doesn't need to shout. Purpose moves. Purpose drives. Purpose is what keeps you going long after the motivation fades and the crowd disappears. Too many people are obsessed with looking like a leader, sounding like a leader, dressing like a leader. But real leaders, they don't just perform, they transform. And you can't transform lives, you can't transform environments, you can't transform anything if you're leading from a place of ego. Ego says, look at me. Purpose says, let me lift you. Ego says, I'm the boss. Purpose says, I'm here to serve. Ego demands respect, purpose earns it. One act of integrity at a time. Here's what I've learned. People will follow someone with power, but only for a moment. Power can attract a crowd, but it can't hold them. It might buy you a few minutes of attention, but it won't build trust. Purpose builds trust. Purpose keeps people following you even when things get hard, especially when things get hard. When you lead with purpose, you're not just focused on where you're going, you care about why you're going. And more than that, you care about who you're taking with you. Because leadership isn't a solo act. It's not about dragging people behind you. It's about bringing them along and helping them find their purpose too. You know what purpose-driven leadership looks like? It looks like staying late to help your team when you don't have to. It looks like owning your mistakes in front of the people you lead. It looks like making decisions that cost you personally but benefit the mission. It looks like choosing people over profits, principles over popularity. And it's not glamorous, it's not flashy, but it's real. Purpose-driven leaders are the ones who change lives, change cultures, change the trajectory of the people around them. Because when your leadership comes from purpose, people feel it. They know you're not just there for the perks. They know you in the trenches with them. And that creates loyalty. That creates impact. Let me be clear. There is nothing wrong with power if it's in the hands of someone with purpose. But power without purpose, that's dangerous. That's leadership turned toxic. That's when leaders stop listening, stop serving, stop growing, and start thinking they're above it all. Don't let that be you. If you want to lead, really lead, you got to ask yourself some hard questions. Not, how can I get ahead? That's hard. But I'll be willing to give you a hand. But how can I help? Now, what do I want to be known for? But what do I want to leave behind? Now, how do I look in front of people? But how do people feel after being led by me? That's purpose. That's what separates the ones who leave for a season from the ones who leave for a generation. So let me challenge you right now. Take your eyes off the position and put your eyes on the mission. Power fades, titles change, but purpose lasts. Purpose is what gets you up at 4 a.m. when nobody's watching. Purpose is what keeps you honest when nobody's holding you accountable. Purpose is what pushes you to speak up, stand up, and show up day after day after day. Because at the end of the day, real leaders don't lead for likes, applause, or recognition. They lead because they were called. Because something inside them says, I have to do this. I was built for this. And that right there is what makes all the difference. You don't send people into the storm. You go first. That's what real leaders do. They don't hide behind their teams. They don't point fingers when it gets rough, and they don't give orders from a safe distance. Real leadership means stepping into the chaos before anyone else does. It means setting the example, not just setting the expectations. Anybody can talk about courage. Anybody can post quotes about leadership on social media, but when things fall apart, when there's fear, confusion, and pressure, it becomes clear who the leader really is. It's the one who stands up, not back. The one who takes the hit, not just gives the direction. Leadership is never about comfort. It's about courage. And courage means you go first. You see, going first is more than just taking action. It's about modeling behavior. If you want your team to stay late, you better be the first one in and the last one out. If you want your people to be honest, vulnerable, accountable, then guess what? You've got to show them what that looks like. Not once, every day. A lot of people want to be leaders until they realize what that really means. It means stepping into the fire before it's safe. It means speaking up when nobody else will. It means taking risks when there's no guarantee of success. It means choosing responsibility over comfort. It means walking through the dark without knowing where the path leads, just so others don't have to walk it alone. That's the weight of leadership, going first. Not because it's easy, not because you always want to, but because you know what's at stake if you don't. Let's be real. Your people are watching you, not just listening to you. They don't care what you say if what you do doesn't match it. You can tell them to be resilient, but if you fold when things get hard, that message is dead. You can tell them to push through fear, but if you hesitate when it counts, that message is empty. You can talk about commitment, excellence, ownership, but if you're not going first, you're not leading. You're just performing. People don't follow what you say, they follow what you show. That's the principle. Leadership is more caught than taught. They catch your tone, your habits, your consistency. They see how you show up when it's inconvenient. They see how you treat people when no one's looking. And when they see you go first into the uncomfortable, into the difficult, into the unknown, that's when trust is built, and trust is everything. Because when people trust you, they'll follow you. Not because they have to, but because they believe in you. And that kind of belief, that doesn't come from being in charge. It comes from being willing to carry the weight. First, going first also means you take the blame before you take the credit. If your team fails, it's on you. If your project breaks down, it's on you. And if something goes wrong, you don't look for a scapegoat, you own it. That's leadership. You protect your people, even if it costs you. You speak last, listen more, and lead with humility. But don't get it twisted. This isn't about being a martyr. This is about being the standard. You go first so others know what's possible. You go first so others can go further. You go first so no one ever has to wonder what commitment looks like, because they saw it in you. This principle isn't just for business, it's for life, it's for family, it's for relationships. You go first in apologizing. You go first in forgiving. You go first in doing what's right, even when it's hard. That's how you become a leader. Not just at work, but everywhere you go. So if you call yourself a leader, ask yourself, when it's scary, do I go first? When it's uncomfortable, do I lead the way? When it costs something, time, energy, pride, am I willing to pay it before I ask anyone else to? Because until you go first, you're not leading. You're just managing. You're just hoping someone else will step up so you don't have to. Real leaders don't wait, they move. Real leaders don't demand, they demonstrate. And when it's time to walk into the storm, they don't point from the sidelines. They say, follow me, I'm already in it. That's leadership. That's the difference. You go first, always. Everybody wants to lead when it's pretty, when the sun is shining, when the team is winning, when the numbers look good and the applause is loud. Everybody's ready to step up and say, I'm the leader. But leadership isn't tested in the good times. Leadership is tested in the ugly, in the mess, in the pressure. When everything is falling apart and there's no clear way forward, that's when you find out who's really leading and who's just standing in the spotlight. When it gets ugly, leaders get going. That's the truth. That's the difference. You see, anyone can lead when the road is smooth, but real leadership shows up when it's bumpy, when it's dangerous, when it's dark. It's in the hard moments, when the plan fails, when morale drops, when mistakes happen, that real leaders stand tall. Not because it's easy, but because they understand it's necessary. Ugly times are where leadership is proven. They're where character is revealed. When people are confused, anxious, uncertain, that's when they start looking for someone to believe in, someone to follow. And if you disappear in that moment, if you get quiet, if you start blaming and backing off, you just sent a message, I'm only here when it's good. But if you step up in that moment, if you bring calm to the chaos, if you show resilience, humility, and strength, then people start to trust you with their energy, their loyalty, their effort. Not because you're perfect, but because you showed up when it mattered most. Here's what the ugly moments reveal: your mindset, your capacity, your heart. Do you panic? Do you blame? Or do you lead? Because leading isn't about having all the answers. It's about standing firm while you figure it out. It's about taking action with clarity, even when certainty doesn't exist. Let me tell you something important. Real leaders don't get the luxury of hiding. When things get ugly, they don't get to disappear behind the scenes. They don't get to say, let me wait this out. No, they get going. They lean in. That's the job. That's the weight of leadership. And that's why not everyone is built for it. When it's ugly, people want to run. They want to escape the conflict, avoid the responsibility, delay the decisions. But leaders know that growth comes from the grind. Strength comes from struggle. You don't get stronger by walking around the pain. You get stronger by walking through it. And that's where leaders are made. In the face of failure, real leaders take accountability. In the face of confusion, real leaders bring clarity. In the face of fear, real leaders choose courage. Not because they aren't scared, not because they have everything figured out, but because they refuse to let their people stand alone in the storm. Sometimes leadership means standing in front of your team and saying, I don't have all the answers, but I'm not going anywhere. It means showing them that you're just as committed in the valley as you were on the mountain. It means reminding people that even in the darkest moments, there's still a way forward. Because here's the truth. How you show up when it's ugly is how people will remember you. That's your real leadership resume. Not the awards, not the titles, but the way you led when everything was going wrong. When people doubted you, when resources were low, when the pressure was high. That's the part they'll never forget. And you might be in one of those moments right now. Maybe life got ugly. Maybe your business is struggling. Maybe your family's in crisis and you're wondering if you can still lead through it. Let me remind you, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to show up again and again with integrity, with consistency, with grit. That's what real leaders do. They keep showing up when it's uncomfortable, when it's inconvenient, when it's ugly. Because they understand that leadership isn't about being seen in the light, it's about being steady in the dark. So the next time it gets ugly, and it will, don't panic, don't retreat. That's your moment. That's your time to lead. Not because it's easy, but because that's exactly what leadership requires. You want the platform? Then carry the weight. You want the spotlight? Then wash the feet. This is what real leaders do. They serve before they shine. Leadership isn't about taking, it's about giving. It's not about how high you climb or how loud you speak. It's about how much you lift others up on your way to the top. Too many people think leadership is a throne you sit on, a place where you command respect because of your position or your title. But real leadership is a service. It's about putting the needs of your team, your community, your family before your own. It's about humility, about sacrifice, about showing up to do the hard, unseen work that no one else wants to do. When you serve before you shine, you build a foundation that lasts. You don't build castles on sand, you build them on rock. You earn respect, not by demanding it, but by giving it first. You create loyalty, not by ordering it, but by demonstrating it. That's the difference between a boss and a leader. Serving means listening more than you talk, It means understanding the struggles and dreams of the people you lead. It means rolling up your sleeves and getting involved in the messy details. It means being willing to do the work that doesn't come with recognition, but is critical to the team's success. Think about the greatest leaders you know, those who inspire you, who you'd follow anywhere. What do they have in common? They serve. They put others first. They make sacrifices. They carry burdens quietly so others don't have to. They don't chase the spotlight. They chase the mission. Serving before shining also means humility. It means recognizing that leadership isn't about you. It's about something bigger than you. When you're humble, you're teachable. You're open to feedback. You're willing to admit when you're wrong. And that openness builds trust. It creates an environment where people feel safe, valued, and motivated. Sacrifice is a big part of serving. You can't lead without giving something up. Maybe it's time, maybe it's comfort, maybe it's your pride. Real leaders don't keep score. They don't ask what's in it for me. They ask, what can I give? And they give it without hesitation. Because they know the success of the team is greater than their personal gain. Serving before shining means you lead by example. You don't just tell people what to do, you show them how to do it. You don't just ask for hard work, you put in the hard work yourself. When your team sees you grinding, sacrificing, and putting their needs first, they respond with effort, loyalty, and respect. This kind of leadership transforms cultures. It creates teams that don't just work together, they fight for each other. It builds communities where people feel connected and committed. It develops environments where everyone is empowered to contribute and grow. Remember, the greatest leaders in history didn't seek power for power's sake. They sought to serve a purpose greater than themselves. Jesus washed the feet of his disciples. Martin Luther King Jr. marched for justice knowing the cost. Nelson Mandela endured years in prison to bring freedom to a nation. These leaders serve as reminders that true leadership is rooted in service. So ask yourself, what kind of leader are you? Are you waiting for the spotlight to shine on you? Or are you willing to get your hands dirty first? Are you ready to carry the burdens, make the sacrifices, and show the humility it takes to serve? If you want to lead like a real leader, start by serving before you shine. Put others first. Lead with humility. Sacrifice without complaint. Show up every day ready to give more than you take. Because when you serve first, the spotlight will find you. Not because you chased it, but because you earned it. That's real leadership. That's what separates the leaders who inspire from the bosses who just direct. Serve before you shine and watch everything around you change. Leaders aren't chasing applause. They're building something that lasts. Legacy over likes. This is a powerful truth that too many miss in today's fast-paced and attention-driven world. Everyone wants to be seen, heard, and celebrated instantly. We live in an age of social media where likes, shares, and followers seem to measure success. But real leaders don't lead for the momentary validation of a crowd. They lead for the long haul, for impact that echoes beyond today, tomorrow, and even beyond their lifetime. Chasing likes is chasing approval, is seeking short-term gratification. But leadership, true leadership, is about vision. It's about planting seeds in the soil of time, knowing that what you build today may not bloom until years later. Leaders who focus on legacy understand that their influence is a gift, a responsibility, and a mission. They're not distracted by fleeting fame or instant recognition because they know those things are temporary. But last is the foundation they build, the lives they touch, and the change they create. Legacy-driven leadership means thinking beyond yourself. It means asking the hard questions. What will people say about me when I'm gone? What difference did I make in the lives of others? What values did I leave behind? It means caring more about the impact you have than the image you project. When you focus on legacy, your leadership becomes about service, stewardship, and sacrifice, not status or ego. Too many leaders today get caught in the trap of pleasing everyone, trying to be popular, and avoiding tough decisions that might upset people. But real leaders know that leadership isn't about being liked. It's about doing what's right, even when it's unpopular. It's about standing firm in your principles, when the crowd wants you to bend. It's about making choices that serve the greater good, not just your personal brand. Legacy leadership demands patience. It requires endurance. It's not about quick wins or flashy headlines. It's about consistent effort, daily discipline, and a commitment to values that outlast trends. Sometimes it means doing the unseen, unrecognized work that builds the future. It means pouring into others, mentoring, teaching, and empowering people who will carry the torch after you step away. Consider the leaders history remembers, the ones who made a difference long after their time. They weren't chasing likes, they were building legacies. They were laying groundwork for generations to come. They understood that their true reward wasn't applause in the moment, but the transformation of communities, cultures, and lives over time. This mindset changes everything. It shifts your focus from yourself to others. It moves you from reacting to the crowd's approval to leading with conviction and clarity. It pushes you to invest in people, not platforms. It challenges you to think beyond your own success and focus on creating a ripple effect that impacts others long after you're gone. When you lead with legacy in mind, you don't just think about the next project or the next promotion. You think about the next generation. You think about how the decisions you make today will influence tomorrow. You become a steward, a caretaker of something greater than yourself. And that changes the way you lead every single day. Leadership is a heavy responsibility. It's not just about making noise or gaining followers. It's about being remembered for what you did, how you did it, and why you did it. Legacy leadership is about integrity. It's about character. It's about love and sacrifice. It's about making choices that honor the future more than the moment. So the next time you feel tempted to chase approval or measure your worth by the number of likes or views, pause and ask yourself, am I building a legacy? Am I leading for the long term? Am I making decisions today that my future self and the people who come after me will thank me for? Because when you lead with legacy over likes, you become unstoppable. You become a leader who inspires beyond your time. You create a story worth telling, a difference worth making, and a future worth fighting for. That's the power of real leadership. That's what real leaders do.